Who didn't go crazy when Sam Raimi's Spider-Man came out? I personally love Spider-Man 2, and it is in my opinion the second best Spider-Man movie out there, with Homecoming being number 1 and Spider-Man 3 doesn't exist. Kinda like Santa Claus or my desire to work out. Alright, fine, it existed. Spider-Man 3 was a disaster, but that is a film for another day. And after this mess happened, no one expected Spider-Man to come back until 5 years later when this reboot happened. When I first saw the new Spider-Man at my house, my first thought was, who is this jerk? But alright, let's break it down to see whether or not this movie is worth watching. The plot. In this story, we see Spider-Man be an outcast and pretty much a loner, even though he looks like he can steal your girl just by sneezing close to her. And that to me was the hardest thing to believe. You see, in the original trilogy, Tobey Maguire had the calm hair, he had the glasses, he had the nerdy attitude, and overall he looked like he was at the bottom of the food chain in high school, so he was a more believable Peter Parker. People argue that this Spider-Man told more jokes like in the comics, except that these jokes made him look cocky and not that funny, except in that scene where he shoots a web at Lizard's mouth. Now that is hilarious. Another argument involved in this new Spider-Man movie is that it sticks closer to the comics. And does it really? I mean, yeah, it has the mechanical web shooters, but Spider-Man's first villain was not a lizard, he was the chameleon. And guess what? Gwen Stacy wasn't his first love interest, it was Betty Brant. That's right, it was this chick. Moreover, I understand that Tobey Maguire cried a lot during the original trilogy, but he never sounded whiny. In the original, he got scolded for getting into a fight, and he snapped on his uncle when he got in trouble for it. But you could see that regret on his face almost immediately. In The Amazing Spider-Man, he left his aunt to walk 12 blocks to a deserted subway and got a whiny attitude when he got in trouble for it.
What? Where is he? Where's my dad? He didn't think it was his responsibility to be here to tell me this himself.
Oh, come on, how dare you?
How dare I? How dare you?
Last thing I will mention, there are a lot of cool moments like the fight scenes and the moment where he runs towards the cranes, even though he can barely walk. That moment to me defined him as a superhero. I think that Andrew Garfield did a good portrayal of Spider-Man, but not of Peter Parker. The musical score. James Horner, I've been listening to your soundtracks ever since Titanic and Avatar, and you did a great job in The Amazing Spider-Man. Yeah, that was James Horner to you. May you rest in peace, sir. The graphics. I like the way the lizard looked. It did look realistic, and as I mentioned earlier, I very much enjoyed the fight scenes, and even though the turning of the cranes were very cheesy, it was still a good rush knowing that he had to swing as fast as he could in order to save the city. In conclusion, this movie is a hit or miss. Some liked it, some hated it, some enjoy seeing Andrew Garfield get tossed around, or was it just me? But honestly, I think that this movie was not as bad as the sequel. That is why I will declare this movie watchable. But that's just my opinion. See you next time.